Uh,
Hey, I'm doing pretty great. I'm pretty stoked today. You know what I'm especially stoked on? Your new Bobu, boo. Congrats.
Yo, that was amazing. Rose and I were up on a game show today, and I'm impressed because we both just, it takes a lot to hit that request button and then to get up there. And when you're right or wrong, it doesn't really matter, right? I'm learning that. I'm really terrible at trivia. So, Jay, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? So, let me go ahead and give a warm intro to our guest here. Okay, let me give it up here. Rose Jade is not only an incredible community member within our CloneX family, who she participates every single day, spaces all the time. I see her in here day and night, in the morning, the AM, the PM. She's active. She's an active artifact creator, but she's also an amazing artist that is using multiple tools in order to express herself and share her art to the world, which that's a lot when you're an artist. And wait, there's more about Rose. I'm not done. She is currently working with the NFT project GNSS as the marketing manager and is also working with the upcoming project Cinnamone. And they are doing incredible stuff. And just, I can't, how are you doing all this? Rose Jace, welcome to the show.
Thank
Woo!
you, Boo. Thank you. You guys keep the vibes up so high. I was like a little nervous, pretty excited. Now excitement is tipping the scale. So happy to be here. Really honored for the chance.
We're so pumped to have you here. And that song wasn't mellow at all. That song got me excited. It was funny. The DM led with, here's a mellow song, but I was actually pumped for that. So, yeah, Rose, how are you today? I know you like to keep it A9 as much as you possibly can. So, with all my guests, I always say, answer what you're comfortable with. Feel free to dodge if you got to dodge. You know what I'm saying? So, who is
Got
Rose Jade?
it.
I know you get cut off a lot in spaces. Sometimes you don't get the mic. So, guess what, everybody? She has the full mic. Let her rant, let her rave.
Oh my gosh, they're so fun. Yes, thank you, thank you. Let's see about myself. I am a Bay Area native, so in California. Um, what can I mention? I'll mention that I have a wonderful younger brother who brought me into crypto and then NFTs. He actually gifted me NFTs just to start. And we actually discovered like the Genesis art project together. So it was a wonderful like bonding moment. If y'all were in that project, there was a wonderful seed reveal. And then he got a clone. And I was deciding between a clone and an Azuki. And he actually told me, he's like, sis, for the next like clone event, we're going to go together in person. You need to get a clone. So that was my motivation to get my clone. But I'm married, mom to two girls. I have a teen and a toddler. And every time I say I have a teen and a toddler, I feel like I should write a book because they're very similar in terms of like how you approach a teenager and a toddler. But it's phenomenal to have two little ones that rule my world. So much of my motivation in real life and in Web3 is really to make sure that I can make them proud and that I can model what's possible. So that's a huge part of like, I think my guiding star as a person is to be proud of how I carry myself and how I care because I have little ones that are observing me and watching me all the time. So I take that responsibility pretty seriously.
You nailed that down. This is why she is marketing strategist and consultant in her profile, and she does an incredible job of that. And I want to highlight that. So, Rose, do you mind telling us a little bit of your background and your experience in that specific field?
Sure. Yes. I work in like high tech, so the corporate world, and I had actually worked in like sales and sales operations for a while. And then I went to like the dark side, to like the marketing strategy side. And to connect the two, I feel like is a little bit of like a superpower, right? Because salespeople just want to sell and pitch. And then marketing is the thing that's like the gift wrap around it because you really want to present, double pun there, present, what the value prop is and really to articulate a value proposition that's attractive. So there's storytelling, there's, being very consistent about your brand. And I just found a knack in this particular area, but really because I'm actually starting my career out in analytics. And so, as much as analytics speaks the truth and can guide you, the flip side is the creative marketing side too. So, I tell people, I'm like, oh, I kind of have a few ways I can flex to help, teams and projects because I really always want to be guided by like data, but the marketing side is so creative and it's there's art and science to that, which I love because you get to use left brain, right brain all the time to do it. And this, I think people complicate marketing, or sometimes marketing has a bad rap because of like especially in Web3, like all of the shilling and the hype. I come from a very like I think, more regimented like background, where marketing is very disciplined. There's a lot of like ropes you have to go through, and marketing is like literally the tip of the iceberg, kind of the final thing that you ship out. It's a culmination of so many things that internally, like project teams, founders, businesses are doing to build up, to sell something. So I kind of come at it from a different angle. I always tell people in Web3, I am not a marketer. I am learning how to market in Web3, where I can kind of flex my expertise is really on the structured way to go about to get to that marketing piece. So the marketing strategy component.
You mentioned something there. I feel like you really enjoy what you do, because when we first did a space together with Senanamine, like you hit me up with this
Yeah.
whole like plethora of things, and like I felt bad because I only use so much of it because I only have so much I can do. And so, do you really
Yeah.
like? Are you into the marketing because you really just enjoy what you're doing? Like, especially how you recap Bad Take for the spaces and everything. It seems like you just love it.
I do. I think in terms of again, that creative and artistic side of it is wonderful. So I feel like I can thrive in so many different ways. And for those that don't know, Bad Take is a space that Compound, fellow CloneX member, hosts every weeknight. And I've been trying to, glean like nuggets of that, the alpha, the great moments that are shared, to do that, because value that's extracted and shared, I feel like goodwill is very well reciprocated, and it feels like it's a community thing. But I think in terms of just making sure that people have greater awareness, yeah, I think I do love it, and I probably don't realize myself that I love it so much, but I do, because I am actually trying to always find ways to, I think, highlight and showcase what's available. And we never have enough budget, enough time, enough resources to do what we want. So I've always been in the mindset of like, you have to be very, very scrappy about what you have. And I tout this to like the best of marketing managers and teams that I've worked with. It's all about leverage. That one piece of content, how can you use it in many different ways? What's the stitching thread that can connect it and tell a better story and not do one off? So I guess it's a great highlight, Boo. Thanks for mentioning that, because I guess I don't realize that I'm doing it. But I do have some awareness, because I always tell people, like, if there's a potential or a gap, like, I'm actually the first to volunteer most often. It's very satisfying for me just to be able to pitch in and help. And it's a great way to connect with other people on a different level.
You came in this space and you have just been ripping and roaring and you have not stopped. And I thank you for that. And I know a lot of us love you for that. What is it that you see that NFT projects are actually doing right when it comes to marketing their projects?
This harnessing of creative energy. I feel like there's this unholds barred, like, we can conquer the world mentality, which is so refreshing, because I come from the corporate world and we get jaded so fast. I was still like, what can we do? All right, there's a delay. Here it's no, it's like fast iteration, fail fast, keep going. It's hard with the roar of the crowd that you have to deal with. But from a project perspective, what I've observed is just there's this, great culmination of just creative minds, visionaries, really. A lot of folks that have these broad, grand visions, and probably the biggest struggle is how to execute. But man, I would love to sit in a room anytime with someone who's a visionary, right? Just so that they can kind of daydream and we can kind of align together. But so many projects are doing very well in terms of trying to push the boundaries on the envelope, and that's why this space is really just so fun.
My last marketing question, and obviously at the end of the towards the half of the show, people can come up and ask more marketing questions, but we have a ton to cover because Rose does so much. Okay, so what are some basic strategies that can be implemented not only for the big brands but individual creators like yourself? And that's where I will get later on to you being the artist.
Yeah, I have mentioned in a few past spaces about how marketing from a personal or brand, company perspective, I think it is being very real about what is the drumbeat that you can consistently maintain and sustain. And I think it's so hard here because everyone's like learning as they go. But, as we operate and deliver on a certain cadence in a certain way, that's how an authentic voice, which then yields to an authentic brand, gets to be built out. So, we talk about tweeting. So if you're going to post, have a point of view on something. I have challenges with my own handle because I think I'm all over the place. Everything interests me. And I'm actually getting some advice and some coaching about like, how can you build just more like predictability of like what you're going to talk about. So I'm an artist, so I like to talk about art. Big into CloneX, big into Genesis. So I'm going to talk about that. And now with Cinnamony and 3D fashion and wearables, trying to focus in more on that. But I think consistency wins, because if you're consistent, that usually yields to that you're reliable and you have your own distinct point of view. And so, yeah, define your own rhythm. Like, you can mimic someone else's to start, but I think over time, please just please do something that's sustaining for you, that taps into your strengths, because that then just, it's this feedback loop of you're doing a good job meeting your own expectations so that you can blow other people's expectations out of the water. But I think, be a little bit selfish first and find your own path, find your own way, because I think we need a lot of distinct voices in this space, and I think everyone can bring forward something very unique.
I'm so happy I have you in my circle, Rose, because I'm kind of all over the place too. And, it's good to like hone in kind of like exactly your lane and kind of stay in it and drive on your lane, no matter how you get there. If you're like 5 minutes late, so what? Maybe you saw something cool along the way. It just happens, right? So you're also an
Mm-hmm.
incredible artist who has a couple pieces out on Foundation, watercolor art to be specific. Hopefully, Jay can find a post to pin up above. Do you mind going into that with us a little bit?
Sure. I've always been artsy and crafty, like all my life. But I'm not. I'm a self-taught artist, so I've just dabbled in anything and everything. So I know how to sew, I know how to cook, I know how to bake, I know how to paint, oil, acrylic, and watercolor. But only as of last August did I decide to mint a collection, and that was just at the urging of some really wonderful friends within the B card community, where we have a gallery, and each of us proclaimed artist would get one frame to mint something, and we were going to just sell it for cheap, 0.1 ETH, just to see how it goes as a test. And so I started hanging one piece, and then it would sell, and then within the community, just a lot of that support, right, your inner circle. So I would keep minting, so I would mint as I go. And all of a sudden, by the end of December, I think I minted and sold, I think, 18 pieces. I think I gifted 3. I have 4 more of my one-on-one collection that's still on sale. And then I just did a timed edition. So the 2 pieces that are in my pin profile are timed edition. I do it on the 13th of every month. And partly because, 13 has just this, it's a bad luck number, supposedly. I wanted to kind of reclaim that and just kind of honor what I could do on the 13th of every month, and hold myself accountable to making more art. Because as a one-on-one collection, my first one ended. I'm starting a new one, and I'm taking my time with that. But I wanted to just be able to share, timed edition pieces, which are much more affordable, just to get my art out there. But it's just more about exposure and just keeping myself like going and creating over time.
Y'all hear that? Y'all got to get it out there. You got to start. You got to expose yourself. You got to throw it out there. I didn't mean to hit the laugh emoji because she sold 18. I meant to hit the oh my gosh emoji because it's like I checked it out later and it's like, oh my gosh, Rose, you're so humble. You know how many times I'd be in a spaces and somebody comes in there and they're like, I shook the NFT space with my watercolor art, blah, blah, blah. And then they drop it and they shill. This is why you're genuine. This is why you're here. And this is why we love you. Do you use ox oil or do you just use water?
I just use water. I am looking at new paints and mediums to try. And yeah, this sounds silly, but I'm like, I had this watercolor set that I bought for my daughter for her to try. And so a lot of these art supplies I actually bought for her to enable her to do it. So I'm like taking it back to do. So it's very basic. I think I have 1 or 2 pieces where I literally used like the Crayola watercolor set. I actually am thinking about doing a video series on how to paint with coffee, just so that people can know you can paint with anything. It doesn't have to be fancy stuff. Yeah, I might have to do that actually. Now that whenever I say something out loud in a space, for me, that's like me manifesting that I'm going to do it. So watch out. I'm going to do a video apparently on how to paint with coffee.
It's wild. It's like you're holding yourself accountable. And I think that's why it's important we continue to have these spaces, because sometimes when you say something out loud, you formulate a new idea and somebody shows you a new light. Like I get every day that's like someone's like, hey, you said something and it actually helped me. And I'm like, really? That's just me talking out my butt. But hey, you know what? I looked deeply into this project and I looked at the specific traits and I noticed that some are AI and some are not. And I like that you clearly labeled them and had a mix. So you're not just throwing every single watercolor into an AI machine. But I did see, I'm a detail
Right.
oriented person. So I did see,
Yeah, I love how you
yeah, so I
mentioned that.
saw that one said 92% was Rose. What happened to the other 0.8% of you, Rose?
Which one?
I don't
Yeah.
know. I have to send you the link. But again, this
Okay.
may be
Send me the link.
metadata stuff. This may be stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I'll look at it. Actually, oh yeah, the intention is that for my 13 series that I'm going to kind of figure out AI as I go. And so my first two pieces are totally me. It's just watercolor. I for the second piece, I think I used AI as a prompt for inspiration. So I looked up like love letters since it was for February 13th, right before Valentine's Day. And I'm actually trying to build up my own ML model that's kind of only my art, so that I can see if I can generate and figure out how to collab with AI. I don't necessarily want to just create AI off the bat. I really want to use my own art. So trying to build my own black box ML model and figure that out so that I can, alter maybe a piece to see what it'll spit out. But yeah, I'm trying to do that with my 13 timed series edition, kind of again to try to challenge myself in a different way, mint one every month, and then along the way, how am I going to use AI along, the journey here. So far, nothing from an art perspective that's outputted is AI, but I'm going to get there.
I love it, honestly. I'm glad that you jumped on board and I'm glad you're starting to use it because when me from the toy industry, a lot of us were poo-pooing 3D modeling and 3D when it came out and like 3D sculpting and like it actually went a whole level. So I'm just open-minded with AI art. Like, did you just jump on board with the AI because everybody was talking about it or were you kind of already dabbling with it?
Oh, I decided to go into it because I had such a huge bias against it. Because I'm old school, I'm watercolor painting, right? And so I'm like, what the hell is AI? And just like really was not so sure about it. And then I thought, man, I don't want to be in that old, non-flexible mindset. So I thought, let me do the reverse. Let me challenge myself and see how can I tap into it? How can I learn about what it is first and foremost, and then see how I can leverage it as a tool. I'm not afraid that it's going to replace what I can create because prompt engineering of itself is its own art form. There's a special moment as an artist, where if I imagine it and I can actually put it onto paper, it's super special. Like my intention, my emotions, my goal objectives that when I can do it, it's such a huge like fist pump moment. So that's why for me, I'm like the fear of AI replacing me isn't there anymore, but it's more about, I think, a learning capacity at this point.
I would just like to give Rose her roses for putting herself out there from her opinion to her art. I mean, it's so much like I'm engaged to an artist, guys. I kind of know a little bit about this. You know what I mean? So it's a lot that she's doing this. You know what I mean? So, yo, Rose, you just jumped off of Spaces. You know, the host was terrible. They didn't acknowledge what you said. Someone spoke over you. Maybe someone was rude. Someone brushed off something that was terrible, the next hour. What motivates you to keep coming back to this space when sometimes it's so hostile?
I know that there's always another space. And actually, now we had the wonderful ladies of BAYC and Queens of CloneX yesterday. And it just sparked me to think about like, man, when I don't have a space that I can find, maybe I should just host one. And maybe that's okay if it's just me for a while or one or two friends, but just to do it. But I think the fact that there are other spaces to join, and it's such a wonderful skill, honestly, when you hop from space to space, whether you are listening or you're going to speak, because it is about, can you pick up quickly what they're talking about? Do you vibe with it? Do you have an opinion? And honestly, it's a critical thinking skill that gets honed. And I'm a hiring manager, like I manage a huge team. And I've always said to people, that your experience kind of got you in the door, but as part of like an interview process, as an example, I'm honing in on your critical thinking skills. So whenever I'm into a space, I feel like I have that chance to just be able to, again, can you morph into what that particular space is about? Do you care for it or not? And that almost like quick judgment of like, is it valuable for my time or not? If not, I'm going to bounce. If it's cool, is it worth it for me to go on stage or not, and actually try to practice being on stage and asking questions and, being inquisitive enough to have an opinion. So yeah, I love it because I've grown so much in such a short amount of time. I think because of Twitter Spaces.
I see Rose everywhere. I seriously see you everywhere, and I want to see you more places. And I want to see you even up on those stages, bashing down those loud voices. And I know you'll get there eventually. You know what I mean? I see your request in the request. I got 7 more minutes with Rose before I allow people up to ask questions. I just want everybody to know that so they don't get scared away. Okay, so Rose, sometimes we get passionate in this space, and sometimes people get a little wild on the timeline. Now, I don't want to cancel anybody. Don't you think it's kind of good that we allow people sometimes to like trip, fall, but there is a point where things get a little too far, right?
Yeah, and I think for me, I'm somewhat like just respect first. Like you always have to lead with respect and give people a chance. And I think just the quickness of how people go like emotionally one way or the other is actually very hard for me. And Boo, for folks here, I reach out to Boo sometimes when there's been bad moments because I'm like, I don't know how to navigate this. I don't have thick skin. And so he's given me some really great advice and counsel. And I think it's just the world that we live in on, crypto Twitter. Um, just that's the way it is. And I don't know. I think whenever it's like personal, like pointed, I don't know. I think there's just a malicious intent behind that sometimes. And I think everybody just needs to check themselves a little bit. I hope that we're all adults behind the keyboard and not just using, Twitter as like a therapy session. I think critical feedback is great, but I think my DMs are open. DMs are open. You can always do that as a DM as well. So it's just an area for me. I'm like, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out, engage it. I always want to try to respect people's opinions, but not at the benefit of my like own emotional state.
I could not agree more, and I'm so happy we started the conversation a long time ago because your skin, excuse me, has to be thick. Jay says I have tofu skin, and you have to be thick. You have to have thick skin in this freaking internet world. I mean, people come on here and they'll just say some wild stuff, and that's just why I really wanted to have Rose on this spaces and highlight her because she's always saying great stuff. And she's asked a lot of advice from people where like, what is this person saying to me on the Discord? And then they walk away. That's really sometimes a bot. It's not even a person. And working in customer service that I've been doing 15 years, sometimes people hurt people. Okay, I asked this question to all my guests, and I have to just keep it 100. What do you think that we can do to better increase the UI and get the better UI experience in here to get better people in here like yourself?
Oh, into just spaces in
The
general,
whole
Boo.
space, Web3, the metaverse, anything.
You know, when I was part of the B card community and pretty active in ENS, we were talking about onboarding so much, and I just felt like there's just no real like great way to like bring people up. Like Twitter's just so hard to follow already. So once you're in here, you're like, good luck. You hopefully find some good people that you can follow. Just I think with NFTs in general, just in terms of user experience, it's super clunky. Like I can't onboard any of my friends because obviously there's the risk factor, but just in terms of user experience, like how do you even get to something that's still not that smooth? Like you feel like you have to be somewhat technical, and that actually is pretty daunting to a lot of people. Like they won't even try because they don't feel supported. So I think it's dual pronged. Like make it easier for folks, but then also find support infrastructure and mechanisms that's trusted to help people along.
I'm so glad we have built a relationship early on so we can continue to build into the future. So I'm at that midway part here, and I got a ton more questions. But if you do want to start requesting up to ask Rhodes some questions, please do. Or if you just want to throw her some more roses, that's cool too. So is there anything I didn't cover, Rose, that you wanted to cover? Because I know Rose has like a point plan out in front of her, strengths and strategies. She was excited about this, and I was excited for her. I didn't give her my write-up yet because like sometimes if I give it to a guest beforehand, I've learned from experience that they'll shoot me back a whole book. So like I've just learned to do that.
Oh, I think we covered a lot. Yeah, I think just for me, just it's a wonderful space to be in, and just there's so many moments to learn and grow. And I always offer people like I'm here to help and support you, like as best I can in my capacity, and even from a marketing perspective. you'd be surprised. Like, not very many people actually take me up on the offer and just DM me. There's been a handful, and hopefully it's helpful just to have a sounding board, whether it's for a personal project, for your own personal, or for a project.
Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Polly. And Jay, you had your hand up first, so we'll go to Jay and then Polly afterwards. Thank you.
Hey Rose, I'm so glad we're finally talking. I've been seeing you all over the place, but I am also a shy person on the internet, so I haven't had a chance to formally meet you. So nice to meet you. I'm going through, I've been going through some of your tweets, and I noticed that you've been tweeting about your babies, and that she entered a yearbook cover contest, and you don't hold back at all when you talk about your kids. So how do you balance being like a mom and also like being in the space all day?
Oh, I think in the beginning I was trying to draw like a little bit like boundaries, my Web3 me, and then my role as mom, wife, all that, and then I found that it just got easier when I just included everybody in everything. So my girls know that I am now an artist. That's actually like a tearful moment when my girls saw a painting at a hotel, and the little one asked, "Mommy, what did you paint?" And I
Oh
was
my
like, "Oh,
God, that's
that."
incredible.
And this is so new for me because, again, artsy, crafty, whatever. Sometimes it's like, oh, moms do that. That's cool. But for me to actually do it so much, and for them to see it so much that they believe it, because I believe it, was huge. But my eldest is a teenager. She's very great with art. I've actually minted her own art collection of all of these pieces that she has, and I have an on cyber collection for her. And a lot of it is like, I want them to be involved in this space as early as they can. And I'm going to lead the way, and I'm going to force their art that they might be embarrassed to show, and I'm going to mint it. I'm going to showcase it, because a mama bear will do that, right? Just no one is more biased than mom. But yeah, I think just they know when I'm in a space and I'm like, mama needs to talk. They're like, okay, we get it. And then my youngest one actually asked me one day, like, mommy, why do you have to talk? And I just said, because they need to hear my voice, baby. They need to hear what I want to. I need to say what I need to say. And she's like, cool. So oftentimes, if you hear little, you know, rappers and iPad noises, that's why, because I don't necessarily want to shield them from it. I do have to probably find a better balance, but that's an everyday thing.
Rose, will you be my Web3 mom?
Web3 sisters for sure.
I love that you've been encouraging your kids and minting their artwork. I feel like that's such a, maybe my generation, it wasn't as supported. So it's like, if my parents had minted my art that I was embarrassed about, I would be a whole different person today. So I really appreciate what you're doing for your kids, even, as a kid myself of parents. so so yeah, no, I really love hearing the story of, of like how you support your children.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, they're omnipresent, and I write about them. I do poems about them. Some of their art, my art is of them. So, it's wonderful when it's, I guess, your authentic self can show up in everything you do. Hi,
Hi
Polly.
everyone. Rose, it was truly a pleasure hearing your story and following your thoughts unveiling into really beautiful visions. And there's something in specific you said in regards to building a strong voice behind the brand, and the grail of it being the authenticity. This made me realize that you do understand the um, mastery of creativity uh, beyond my expectations. And I think you, as your digital identity, alongside your personality, like the real you, uh, is a perfect onboarding tactic. Because honestly, when I first joined BedTake and Compound introduced me to you, you were so welcoming and nurturing and kind, and you recognized a person behind PFP. It meant so much, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to get to know you better. And I derailed, but I'm smiling. So grateful for this space. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Polly. Wonderful to know you. And again, just the times that we spend together in different spaces and now offline DMing each other. I mean, this is like the magic of spaces, which really is special.
All right, I'm shouting out down to the audience because sometimes they get scared. If y'all want to request up to ask Rose some questions, like seriously, like I see y'all doing a ton of different stuff down there, and y'all need a good marketer like Rose. So if you want to jump up here, ask her some questions. If not, I got some more questions to keep rolling on with it. And with that, Rose, how important do you think these IRL events are? I know that you went to an IRL event, but I believe it was Decon, and you said you were a little sneaky because you didn't want to be too, out there with it.
Yes, I am not doxxed, partly because I have two girls and I just grew up in a very conservative household that's like, we want our privacy. But I went to Decon, was there just for 24 hours and met like such a wonderful group of people that I was kicking myself for not staying longer. Um, and in that moment, I realized like there's this wonderful way of like unlocking just connections. um, I attended Decon because I wanted to meet my Cinnamone team. Um, but the bonus on top was I got to meet, CloneX LA. And just because I happened to have a clone and I was kind of there to help work the booth, I mean, it just made it so much more real and just so much more invested in the community and wanted to get to know more members of the community. And so bummed that I didn't get to go to Utah. But man, for the next chance, I'm definitely going to try because I feel like I myself get to, you know, um, just learn about the people behind the PFP, just like what Jay and Polly mentioned, that is invaluable because in the end of the day, we are dealing with wonderful people.
I see Compound has come up here, and Compound, I know you're a little new to the spaces thing, so if there's anything that you need from us to let us know how you can proceed, let us know. But, ask Rose Jade a question or give her some roses.
Thanks, guys. You guys have been super helpful. I just realized what this little mic button does. Hi, Rose. Nice to see you.
Hi,
Hi,
Compound.
Drew. Hi, JPEG. Hi, Polly. Um, I just want to say I don't know how Rose does everything. She is involved in so many different things, a lot of them clone related, and a lot of different projects, just helping in every way she can. And she helps so much in all the spaces and in Bad Take as well. And she continues to push herself. Like she'll message me and be like, "Hey, I want to learn video editing and how to put sound on video and how to do captions. And I just kind of want to learn. Are you okay with me doing that?" I'm like, "Please, yeah, please. I love that. 100%." Um, I really appreciate you, Rose. I think we all do. And I guess my only question is what's the next skill you want to learn? It seems like you're always striving to like learn something new. And do you have anything that's on your docket that like you would love to learn that you just haven't got around to yet? And is there any way that we could help you potentially learn that?
Oh, thanks. Yes, let me say it out loud and then see who can help me. Because let me think. The ML model piece, I feel like that's just I just got to put in the time. My original like attraction to the just general space and the metaverse was actually on cyber. So I found this knack of like curating different on cyber spaces, and that's placement of art and NFTs and curating an experience. So I just all of a sudden had um, event planning background, which now I can flex into on cyber, which is kind of cool. But then I soon realized like I don't like these just typical boxes. Like I actually want to learn Blender well enough so that I can create my own on cyber spaces. And now there's an economy of that because you can actually sell on cyber spaces. And yeah, I think there's just so much more that I want to learn. I think Blender just unlocks so much, obviously, with our clones and 3D. But yeah, there's again, I think for me, probably Blender, which helps me on my design team for Cinnamone as well. That's totally applicable. But my original vision was to be able to build almost like museum galleries for on cyberspaces because there's a few cool ones. But as I'm going to more and more museums, I'm like, wow, there's a whole design aspect from flow that's an art and a science of itself. So I'm kind of dabbling into that and kind of sketching out what that might look like. Not just for my own art, I would say just from just a general community perspective, because I would love, I think I mentioned to a few people, CloneX and for Genesis and for other communities, like we should have our own, hub or station, and then also showcase creations from the community together. Because on cyber and the metaverse, you can scale things in wonderful ways that you just can't do in real life. And since we're all remote, congregate into certain spaces, like on cyber spaces, is actually really, really magical. Like I've built a lot of spaces. It makes me sad to know that some of them are like just kind of like ghost towns. But for thriving communities, I think there's a chance that we can maximize just getting to know each other, building different moments of connection by having on cyber spaces that are maybe more I don't know, supportive or like creates a better environment to like vibe in than maybe what's currently there. So I would love to pick up those skills.
I love that. And I think I've gotten some sneak peeks at some things that you've built. I know that you and Jerry have been setting up a security class for Artifact and the clones through Boring Security, and you got to curate the whole pod for the experience. And see, there you are again, volunteering to like your time to help out the community in another way. And I love that. Is there anything you can tell us about the pod and how that experience was setting that pod up?
Yes. So, this is the upgraded pod that we have for Artifact. It's the loot pod. And Jerry set this up with Boring Security, right? He had pitched it to Bad Take, and there's so many scams that was happening that we just thought, man, we all really need like a refresher or like a more solid foundation around just security in general. So, I mean, Jerry really coordinated all of this, and he just had asked, you know, we should do this in a loop pod. So I think he's here. Prez does live streaming in a loop pod, and the experience is phenomenal. Is it the Real Nomics does a lot of things in loop pods and spaces too. So, what better way to just kind of share and showcase what the potential is and host a class. So I've done some curations. I have furniture and all that. So I did something quickly. I don't have the skills to do my own skin because I would have loved to do like a really like kind of metal, kind of futuristic, like almost like a garage type of feel for the class. So I couldn't, but in lieu of that, did try to alter the feel a little bit, but also to have like the wall of clones. That's going for those that are going to register. I'm going to try to reach out so I could showcase the clones that are going to be there and some of our cool 3D artifacts that we have, like the Murakami blade, Monolith One, but then also for Boring Security to have them see how their what is it? Their logos and badges and tokens can also be decorated in loot pods. So it's a great, I think, just learning moment for myself to kind of build something that is for a specific purpose, like a classroom, and then hopefully showcase like the best of Boring Security as well as Artifact.
Shout out to Prez for streaming this space for the second time in a row, and it got me motivated, and it got us on a call, and it's like, wow, I'm still thinking about that call we got off of because there are just so many people in this space. They don't always jump up to grab the microphone, but when you get them on that one-on-one, man, it's incredible. So like, reach out in the DMs, reach out to people. Don't be afraid to say what's up. Don't be afraid. Hey, I get told no all the time when I ask people to come on the show. It's okay with me. Yes. So on cyber pods are very important. Are there any more spots in this Boring Security? Can we get that pinned up?
You know what? I don't know where the reg link is. We're going to send it out to the Artifact mods so that we can, advertise and get as many people. I believe there's 100 spots for the class. I'll just mention right now it's on March 15th, next Wednesday. I believe it starts at 5 p.m. Pacific. And I think it runs supposedly for 2 hours. First hour is the main courseware, and then the second hour is a lot of like Q&A. So I feel like from everybody's experiences, the Q&A session might be the most valuable, honestly, to make sure that we understand things in depth. But I'll be sure to share this with everybody. But yeah, look out also in the Artifact Discord because we're trying to get the team and mods to help advertise it.
I do have a link, Boo, and we could let the Rug Radio Boo guest get a first dibs on it. I'll pin it to the top. Everybody in here, let me see. I'll find it. It's in the thing. I'll pin it at the top.
We appreciate you, Compound. For real, Compound has been doing these spaces, y'all. Sometimes 7 days a week, sometimes 5 days a week, just depending on his schedule with Dre Melly and an assortment of amazing co-hosts. Vincent, Bombay, Kiro God. I mean, Rose has been a co-host. I mean, I don't want to shout. Listen, there's so many people to shout out, and if a name gets missed, just DM me and I will scream your name out, because we all need to give each other credit, because so many, I mean, I'm right now working on the NFT NYC event. It's going down April 14th for CloneX. Yes, it's going down. It's supported by Artifact. We're just getting all the little crumbs. I mean, the details, no crumbs. They're getting the details together to get y'all the information so you guys can get that and get on that plane and come out to see us. So yeah, thank you, Compound, for pinning up that above. Yes, things are crazy. I'm in my DMs right now. Somebody sent me something. It went to my hidden folder. I'm told to keep it in the hidden folder. Thank you for keeping me safe. And this is why I always ask, is this too good to be true? Usually when it's too good to be true, it is. Rose, when the screen turns off and everything's away, the song you sent me, and you're doing your thing, what are things that you like to do that are like not tech, not online, not connected to electronics?
Well, aside from painting, I feel like that's almost like a cheat and answer. I actually have to find time to make sure that I can paint in a good succession. Since I have two girls, they're always first, right? They're my first priority. And so when I do have a quiet moment, it is first and foremost to like go paint. And then after that, it's planning. It sounds so geeky, but I love to plan. I feel like I tell my in my real life team at work all the time, like you have to plan the plan, work the plan, and then replan. Like that's just how it happens. Like otherwise days go by and you're not really sure what's going on. But projects, I love planning just travel. And there's some great events around NFTs, but just personal travel too. Just want to make sure I can lay those out and be the thing to look forward to, when you can escape for a little bit and travel. So I've been doing a lot of that lately.
I just got a DM actually, and someone was like, "Hey, I want to know how she got these incredible jobs working at GNSS and Cinnamomene. Do you mind sharing that?" And I want to know this because I also would like to start getting some blue chip jobs like this. Wow, what a great DM! Thank you, ETH Maxi 425.
I will start with the Genesis Art Project by MGXS. So this was just a project that I had minted. It was a project that I had been following. And then Seed Reveal became this like addiction of like stay with the community in Discord 24/7, help people mint and choose what they're going to select, because the Genesis Art Project had the Seed Reveal where you could pick, there's 10 to be revealed, but it's like if you pass on one, you can't go back, right? So it was an amazing, almost like gambling experience of sorts, right? But just really getting to know community. So the Genesis community was like my first home base, like, trying to navigate Web3. And all of a sudden we're like talking about art, fawning over art, and just like being obsessed with everything that this artist is creating. And then, there was ups and downs and a quiet period, and myself and my partner in crime, big time, we had always gone along really well. And on the side, we actually started our own Discord to brainstorm, like, what can we do to help the project? And then lo and behold, through big times magic, and he had already gotten to know MGXS, got into discussions. And there was actually a Twitter space. So the power of a Twitter space. There was a Twitter space that Big Time hosted with MGXS back in, I think, August. And I had a moment when I went up there and I said, hey, you should do a little bit more about marketing. Here's my pitch around marketing. Marketing it's simple. It's all about storytelling. Whatever your vision is, marketing can help articulate that story to the people that you're trying to attract. And if they connect with it, it's amazing, right? Things happen. Like you sell out, you have secondary sales, cool. At the heart of it, it's just about storytelling. And it happened to resonate with MGXS. And all of a sudden, a couple months later, I'm now part of the project team doing marketing. And, full disclosure, I'm not a marketer, I'm a marketing strategist. So it's a little bit different because I'm trying to lean in more around planning, comms, and just branding and all that too. But that was like a dream come true. Like, that's like the Web3 fairy tale. You're in a project, you love it, you're OG, and then you get to be part of the project team. So for me, that is huge. So I do that part-time and I love it. And the chance to work with a phenomenal human who is also an artist, that's MGXS, has been great, and learning so much about, him holding such a high bar of standard, not in terms of just his art, but the experience that he wants to curate for his holders and collectors. And so, yeah, there's a lot of building that we're doing. I'm just really excited. For me, it's like if I really believe in the project, I'm in. So, hopefully that's a good tell for the community, because for me, I don't necessarily need to have a Web3 side gig, right? This is all by choice. I have a full-time gig. I manage a team of like 25 IRL. So my workload is kind of crazy, but I am very good at prioritizing. And Genesis as a project is a huge priority for me. So that's why I'm committed to it. Another thing about the magic of spaces is with Cinnamone. So in the Clonespiracy space a while back, probably in August, I had, went up and said, hey, I do watercolors and I have a daydream about, having my watercolors be leveraged as like a textile for 3D wearables. And next thing you know, the Cinnamone team kind of reached out, and through Aunt Ben, I met him first, and I met Memory and then others. And they said, yeah, let's do it. And I'm blown away, right? Because it's kind of like these things that I had daydreamed, like, as a little girl, daydreamed to be a fashion designer. All of a sudden, trying to find ways to use my art in different ways now has led me to be part of the design team, and working in different aspects for Cinnamone. But yeah, again, I believe in it, so I prioritize it. It's in the mix now of like all the other things that I do, but it's a wonderful chance, like I think this is where opportunities are aplenty. I think making it known in terms of like what your interests are and your strengths, I think get you really, really far. And I'll just share, like in my personal life, I've always found that if you can find people that appreciate your strengths and then find work that you can flex those muscles and build those muscles, your satisfaction just in general increases. Like by far and away, like, you'll just get louder and prouder in what you do. So that's why for me, things that I elect to like take on often are really aligned to my strengths and my interests. And so even though, yes, I'm busy, I'm a mom, Web3 has taught me that, my own interests as an individual, as a woman, not in a role like wife or mom or daughter, is also important. So I'm trying to take my best chance to kind of claim it, to contribute, to build, and just to see, can we do it? Can I do it? So it's also satisfying. Like I do late nights. I tell everybody I have a Web3 night shift. So from like 10 p.m. till maybe 1 o'clock, if Bad Take keeps rolling or Chop Shop keeps rolling, I'll stay on too. But I'm always multitasking. I'm always trying to do perhaps, a couple things, maybe 3 things at once sometimes, just to squeeze it in. And my own, I guess, motto is if there's something that I still have to do, like I have to complete it before I go to bed.
I do not like the soundboard, but I'm clapping. I'm taking my hat off. Jeez, Rose, like 2 kids, you got 25 people under you. Then you're jumping in with us DJs later on at night, like screaming about, nothing basically. And you're working for 2 projects within the space. This is why I want to continue to do. You got me motivated right now. You got me pumped. This is why I want to keep doing these shows, to keep highlighting beautiful people like you in this world. Because, wow, God, I'm inspired and I'm motivated right now. How do you do it all? Like, do you have it written down, your schedule, or is it just good habits, atomic habits?
Oh, actually, it's probably an atomic habit. I read that a while back. Maybe I don't realize it, but I have like a checklist. I'm a checklist girl. So I think for every day, and usually it's the midnight when I go to bed. Supposedly, it's almost like preempting it and having my something in mind of like, what are my top 3 things I have to accomplish tomorrow, and I kind of go to bed with that in mind. So it kind of seeps in, and then when I wake up, I know what I'm supposed to do. And even at work, I'll my own little top 3. It could be big, it could be small, but there's so much satisfaction and then momentum that you can build as you cross it off. And maybe it's at the 11th hour, the 59th minute of the 11th hour, and that's okay. or you can knock it off, before breakfast. But I think just as you go one at a time, I do believe that you have to like cheer on yourself first and foremost, because no one else is no one else is around mostly. And every little momentum helps. I feel like I actually have to probably learn how to take a break, because when I go on travel and vacations, I don't know how to decompress. I'm like the busybody of like trying to shepherd everybody along. But I think it's built into me now, because I think I've just gotten to this rhythm. So atomic habits becoming bigger habits, and I always tell my girls it takes 3 days to change something. Just 3 days. First day seems really rough, you'll get through it in the next couple of days. It could be potty training, it could be braces, whatever it is. It's 3 days. You just got to suffer through 3 days, and then all of a sudden it's new to you, and then it just becomes part of habit.
I actually like that, because you know what? I have this habit where if something's bothering me after 3 days, then I'll address it. Like if like I'll be like, all right, Jay, like this has been bothering me after 3 days. Like I want to talk about it. So that's interesting that there's another 3 day thing. So man, that 72 hour must be a special magic moment there. I love that you shared the fact that you and Big Time started up your own private Discord to get things moving in the GNSS project. And you know what? If anybody's down there listening, and if your project's not moving, man, start kicking them in gear, or start, getting crazy on the Twitter timeline. Sometimes that works. I've seen for some founders in the last 24 hours. Rose, is there anything else more that we want to cover? We got 7 minutes. Y'all know I love to be a timekeeper. If y'all want to come up, give Rose her flowers, drop a question, this is your time, because I cut it at the hour, baby. Here we got somebody coming up. This is what I love about our community. Sir Snapback, how are we? Are we on a roller coaster? Are we in a car? Are we skiing down a mountain?
Nah, I'm domesticated. I'm cleaning up, man. I'm cleaning up. I've been out of town the last couple of days on a work trip, and my wife has been holding down the house, taking care of the kids. I got back. She was ready to pull all her hair out, so I tried to take today to just help get everything back in order for her. Got her car oil changed, doing the dishes, cleaning the room, trying to take a little stress off the wife. But I just wanted to step in and say I respect. Well, first, I just wanted to give Rose her flowers. That's the main reason why I wanted to step up. There's so many people in this Web3 space, and what I found is that some people can be wishy-washy or kind and then mean and then back and forth, but a lot of people are really just awesome, kind-hearted, great individuals. And Rose has been one of those people that's been like a beacon of light and really shined on my Web3 journey. She's somebody that's just always brought such wonderful, awesome energy to the space and just into my life personally. And so I want to say thank you for that. But I also just really, 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 really wanted to give her flowers for saying that she realizes that she needs to carve out this time in this space to do something for her that makes her happy and that really brings her joy. That's something I think a lot of women really struggle with. They do so much to please everybody else. And I know in my household, my wife is that way all the time. Like I ask her, like, what are your hobbies? And she doesn't really have many hobbies because her hobbies are taking care of us. She's always trying to make us happy and do what we want to do and look out for us. And I'm always urging her to really try to kind of find something that she loves and that she can be passionate about. And she's still working on that. But to hear you say that and to speak it, it just made me so like happy for you and so proud that you realize that and you're making that a priority because it's super important. Like you got to have your own outlet. You got to have your own thing that brings you joy and you enjoy to do. So I just wanted to say, keep on doing that. Keep on doing what you're doing. And nothing but love and respect for you, Rose. You're an awesome, awesome human being, mom, woman, founder, entrepreneur, artist. Bro, you're such an awesome artist. But I couldn't come up with enough words. So congrats. I love you so much.
Oh, thank you. Love back. And I tell my husband all the time, actually, I told him, like, my Web3 life is on fire. Like, you need to hustle and get in here and find your way. Or just observe me. That's cool, too. No, he's very supportive. He gives me the time and space to do all this, which is great. It's a team effort, for sure. Love how you shared how you're helping out and pitching in. Snapback.
I absolutely love that. She says, my Web3 life is on fire. Boy, you got to get in here. What the hell you doing, man? This is crazy. Wow, that's amazing. Jay, I'm glad we share this like endeavor together. Even though Jay will be like, don't talk to me about it right now. Don't talk to me about it. And then like 3 days later, she'll be like, hey, I got whitelists for this. It's pretty cute. Look at this pixel art. You know what I mean? So it's fun. You just got to Definitely take a break when you need to take a break. Rose, what's the next thing on your travel list? Where do you want to travel to next?
Oh, we have a little one. And so I was daydreaming, like, oh, can I go to Tokyo? Can I go to South Korea? Just travel. And then we realized, I don't think she can do it. So we're pivoting now and trying to do more glamping. Let's go the other way. Really, just stay domestic, stay kind of local, and just, I think, enjoy what we have. So California, up the coast, Oregon, wherever. So yeah, I'm actually doing some research around that because I'm scrapping those international plans. Like, why put the little one through so much stress, which is then stress on us? Let's just enjoy kind of our summer together, like outside.
We are at the top of the hour. I cannot thank all y'all enough, but I give it to my guest, my special guest, Rose. I got to give you the last word, and then I'll say my little last word. I guess there is no last words when it comes to Boo. I'm sorry, y'all. You're stuck with that. Burn the ears off. I know. So, Rose, could you please leave us out with something, and then I'll say my normal spiel and cut us out with the outro.
Maybe from my last art piece that I did right around Valentine's Day. I think just a sentiment of, like, be true to yourself, love yourself, because then you'll find your true connection. You'll find the people that are meant to, you know, um, kind of be with you along the journey. And I feel like this is such a wonderful way. This whole space is amazing because you get to connect with people that you perhaps normally didn't think you would. So all of those biases of age, location, you name it, are kind of gone. So yeah, I think embrace meeting more people, connecting with people, and if I can support you in any way, I'm here.
Rose, I'll say it right here. If you need a co-host for the fucking live spaces, you got me. I'll be your co-host, and I'll be quiet up there, and I'll pin them down, and I'll pin them up, and I'll knock them down, and I'll knock them up. Let me know. I got your support. And yeah, hit that live button. Start doing that. Stop waiting. Just start doing. You know what I'm saying? Tune in next week, same day, same time, Thursday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for another great show with me, your host, Boo, and my incredible host, JPEG J. Give a follow up here to the stage for those who came up, especially to our special guest, Rose Jade, who does incredible art. Go give her some money, okay? We will drop this show starting next week for who we have coming up. Maybe it'll be a topic. Maybe it'll be a guest. You never know. I always keep it fresh. Shout out to my audience. Thank you always and forever. Drop in those DMs. I love you guys, and I'll see you on Bad Take later on tonight. Peace out. In Web3. It's actually now.